Welcome to the Adventures of Adam, and welcome to PodForge Ep.5. With me today, I'm joined by Sham, co-founder of Fateless and game director. Do you want to say hi? Tell the people what's going on.
What's up, guys? I'm hanging out. Hopefully, you don't have like a weird echo. I'm not at home. I'm at my cousin's house doing a little barbecue with the family, and Adam asked me let's hop on and do some pod forging, and I was like, oh yeah, let's go.
Hell yeah!
Psyched to be here.
So, if you're watching this live in the premiere, don't forget to say hi in the premiere chat. And if you didn't catch it live at the premiere, you can still view the premiere chat. Go down just below the comments. There should be a rectangle on the right side of your screen. Click that, and you can watch the conversation that's happening as the premiere unfolded. So, with that out of the way, Sham, I would love to hear about your experience in the Alpha 3 as a player. So who did you take as a starter? Start there.
Okay. Well, I had tested quite a bit, and this time I was like, all right, I'm gonna go Lady Shock because I hadn't done Lady Shock in a while, and I knew people were hyping up Guan Yu, and you know I know the stats. I know who's good and what they're good at and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, let's do Lady Shock. This will be fun. I got Sphinx at 30. Yeah, I got Gilgachad on the way.
There you go.
And he Gilgachad. I mean, man, I think we had him super broken, like really really powerful in Alpha 1. Alpha 2, I think we did like kind of a pretty vicious nerf, if I recall. Like we were uh yeah, it was vicious. Let's just put it that way. Paul, come on, man. Like, what happened here? Yeah. But so for this one, I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna do what I do, and I'm not gonna. I knew I wasn't gonna do any of the real races. Although we had like a competition going, and I was like openly challenged directly in the by head of product by Corey. If you're out there, Corey, he was like I'm gonna beat Sham to the top, and I was like, all right, well, okay, now I have to like so that actually
Throw
was
down
super
the
motivating
gauntlets.
and super fun. Yeah, and I was like, all right, that's it. So I mean, I think where did I first get stuck? I got stuck at the usual. I mean, it was like a quick pause at 90, but I'd already kind of like I knew what I was going to be doing there. 120 took maybe it took several hours, longer than than I had expected the first time because we had fixed some stuff, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, good job, team. Let's go. Good job fixing these bugs."
Trying the exploits
And
right away.
I mean, listen, you got to do what you got to do. Like, I'm not trying to. It's less exploits and more like I know that this champion is overtuned or this interaction is overtuned, so I'm gonna, you got to use that stuff. And we told people like that. That's you know document it, let people know, and then like at this point we're not changing it. Like we're not, except for some of the the ones that we didn't know were going to be there, like the duplicated armor stuff and stuff like that. But
Right.
and then yeah, I ended up finishing. Where was I? 130th or something.
133, I think.
Okay, so I
I was
finished in
gonna.
the top okay spot, like
I
not
think 132
not
actually.
crazy. 132. Okay, not bad, not bad. Um, I think I could have pushed it. So there was one evening when Brad and Paul were having like a session. Okay, they were sitting in a call, and Paul, uh, he was like just being stubborn. He had told Brad that he's like, Brad, or Chosen. He's like, Chosen, listen. I know I'm going to take your team. I'm going to beat all these levels. And then Brad's like, no, you don't know. So they're sitting in a call, like 5 hours, literally just like we're grinding, grinding, grinding. And they like, I knew that Paul was like going after it, and he wanted to grind with this specific team, which was not optimal, definitely not optimal, but he did it. Props to him, to him and Brad. And that was the night I was like, what, I'm going to bed. I'm going to let these guys finish up. I woke up in the morning, and then that morning I finished, I think, sometime. But it was super fun. I mean, like experience wise, I'm really happy about it. Like I think so as a player. So let's just look at it just like if I can try to like pull myself out of my body and not look at this from a game director type of perspective. I had so much fun, man. I honestly was like legit addicted I would go to bed. I would think about it. I would talk to my friends, and when they didn't want to talk about Godforge, I was kind of annoyed. You know that feeling. You know what I'm talking about.
Like, bro, I get it. Just leave me
But
alone.
yeah, exactly. It's like I mean, you guys know, like, you know how it goes. Like when you get something in your head, you get stuck on an idea. You think you can do something, but you need a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. You know, like I love that.
That tweaking
I
and tuning and
genuinely had a fun. Yeah,
yeah. Speaking of addictive, man, I slept so little during the alpha because in my mind, like
I'm
I had it
sorry.
running over. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. I have an addictive personality. But I would have
Yeah.
the game running on my PC overnight, and I'd wake up about 2 or 3 hours into my sleep cycle, be like, I wonder if that run failed. I should go check on it. I
You know,
s-
I had a couple people messaging me saying, I literally have alarms set for every 4 hours to check in my guys. I'm like, please don't do that. Don't don't wreck your sleep. They're like, it's fine. It's good. We're having fun. Right? I'm like, all right, man. As long as you're having a good time, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. But
yeah. You
uh,
touched on the leaderboard there for a little bit. I wanted to circle back to that. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to beat you on the leaderboard, but I could actually trace back I finished 142 or 143, so like 10 behind
okay.
you. It's like we were close.
Okay.
But I
Yep.
will say I could trace back my mistakes. I know exactly where I went wrong. So
What
on
happened? What was the pivotal mistake?
well, originally I was supposed to work that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I got off work early on Wednesday, and then they told me that my shift was canceled for Thursday and Friday. So I was pumped, right? Because I'm like, I could stream it. Like I'm so excited.
Yes.
So that Thursday, I didn't want to play until I was able to start streaming, and it didn't occur to me
Mm.
like, oh, I could be farming stuff. My content creator brain
ABF,
kicked in
man.
and took
Always be
over.
farming.
I know. My content creator brain was like, "Oh, you should probably not play until you can stream." So
Yeah.
I should have been farming like Thunderbolts and World Splitters during those 5 hours between waking up and the start of my stream. So not farming in those 5 hours set me back. And then,
That was the spot. Yeah, that's
well,
probably true.
that
Actually,
was
like,
mistake number one. And because I didn't farm weapons and the God Steel to rank them up, I ended up doing that overnight Thursday night instead of farming gear overnight Thursday night. So I
mm,
ended up with way more weapons than I needed. Like it, because I mean, I farmed for like 8 hours. You don't need 8 hours of farming to get all the weapons. So that was, I way overdid it on the weapons when I should have been farming gear. So if I had done that, I think I could have finished on like late Friday night. I honestly, like those two
yeah.
mistakes were just enough to set. So I didn't finish until Saturday. So
I mean, I'm not going to say that I set that up. I set up those circumstances exactly. It was all part of my master plan. But
yeah. So
no, that's awesome, man.
yeah,
It's so funny how like the how those little things like I mean, this game is all about, or these games in general, right? Not just even just Godforge, but these games are all about optimizing and picking where you know, these little decisions that you make, right? And they just
yeah,
add up. They add up over time, and they start to do that. And it's cool to see. I mean, it was incredible to me how fast people beat the caverns,
yeah,
the first ones. I mean, it was about 24 hours. That's ridiculous.
yeah.
Honestly, ridiculous.
Straight up
Like, and obviously there
degenerates.
were some things that, yeah, some things kind of like, you know, came together. Zeus is basically like a little bit of a cheat code, and
Yeah,
but I mean, but if you know talk to these guys, like there was like as you know, spreadsheets, strategies, strategy sessions with friends, organizing with groups. You know, it was kind of like a marathon. Like people were like cheering them on from the sidelines. Come on, man, push! You can do
yeah,
this. Like I don't know. That makes me so happy that people are so engaged and
yeah.
having a blast with it. So
I wasn't.
yeah, but overall, I mean, from that perspective, I loved it.
Yeah, I wasn't part of any collectives. I'm generally the type of person who really, really likes to figure these things out for myself. So considering I wasn't like as a solo player, I feel pretty proud of my performance because everything,
Yeah,
you know. So, so speaking of, I want to
that's
circle back to leaderboards for a minute because in the first 24 hours, all three founders of Fateless were in the top 100 at one point. Did you know that?
wow. I didn't know that
So
actually. No, I did not.
Dan, and Simon were all in the top 100 for the first 24 hours, which I
Wow.
think is amazing. That just goes to show that not only do you guys play your game, but you actually understand the genre. You know, like
Oh yeah,
When Diablo 4 did that live stream where their developers were playing it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was so embarrassing. Like, do you guys even play your
it
game?
was brutal. It was so brutal to watch. It was like, I'm like, wow, like you decided to put this out, put into the public,
Yeah.
like, I mean, but yeah, forgetting about that, like we all freaking love this genre. I mean, and that's that's what we've been talking about for years. And I think what's so exciting for me personally at this point is like finally seeing that what we've been saying this whole time is kind of being proven out in a sense. We understand the genre. We love the genre so much. We are very connected, and we're just a part of the community, right? So we're just like hanging out. We're racing just like you guys. We're getting in there, and obviously like just like everybody else, everybody has their busy lives, and you kind of have to strategize around it, like which is again a part of this genre of game. It's mostly people that are professionals. They've got their busy lives. They're maybe maybe have a family that they need to take care of. Maybe they have a job that has them traveling a lot. It's like no excuses, man. If you get in there, you can. There's always auto farm. There's always a way to like get things rolling. And
Yeah.
so it's yeah it's true. I mean, like Simon was. I remember. I would just every once in a while be like, messaging, like, "Where you at, Simon? How you doing? You pushing? You pushing?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I just got through, 133." And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, hold on, I gotta go. I gotta get through. Time to push." Like, right. So I jump on, and Dan was kind of quiet about it, right? He's a little more quiet about it. But I was like, Dan, you can't hide. The leaderboards show everything. You can't. I know where you are. I know where you are. So we had fun with it, man. I mean, that's Fateless is a company that we have fun, man. And a lot of the guys and gals at Fateless, played as well. I mean, they're doing the really hard work, to be real. They're making these models look beautiful and making sure the code works, and so uh, shout out to well, he's elite Zor, but Marcelo, he ended up being. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw. Oh, because it was in the private server, but we had that internal thing. We gave away Switch twos as
Mm.
kind of like a little incentive for each of the different things. We were like, well, you can't win the actual prize, but it'll be fun to kind of do it internally. And Marcelo, the man went hard on the stars. That was really impressive for me. So he got the 298 in like was it 10th? It was pretty high up. It was pretty high up on the like actually if you have the leaderboards up, maybe you can
Oh, I
check.
don't
But
have him up. I could
Elite
pull it
Sword.
up while you're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about it.
But yeah. So anyway, he was like not just high up on leaderboards for us, but also pretty high up on leaderboards overall across the whole population, the whole community and stuff like that. So that was super cool to see. I was like, and like he's a really talented principal
Yeah, number
developer.
10. Number 10 on the
Number 10.
stars.
That's legit, man. That's like you went hard. Like people, they're to be fair, he's a combat engineer, and he's set up a lot of these, so he knows how he can check the code and stuff like that. So to be fair, he had some advantages there as well. But yeah, still takes a lot of work, as you guys know. This takes some serious work to get this stuff done.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What so I'm interested. I didn't really get to hear your side of it. How was your race, I guess?
I it was aside from my two mistakes, I like I'm confident if I had done those things differently, I could have finished top 100. But I finished, I think it was 142 is where I ended up. But I this alpha experience was so much different than the previous ones, and I think you guys, I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion because people love their legendaries, but I think reducing the drop rates of legendaries, and even seeming as though it almost seemed like you'd reduce the drop rate of rares too, so we couldn't have like level 5 awakened rares. I think that was great. It made it so epics were relevant. And I played with
Yeah.
a ton of epics that I didn't even look at in Alpha 1. Well, I didn't look at it. I beat Alpha 1 with all rares, but I didn't even look at the epics in
Yeah.
Alpha 2 because it was like I got Pengu and Hercules and Sphinx and
Oh
Horus,
yeah.
and I
That's a
just
team.
auto tanked just everything. It didn't even have to, like, I think I
Yeah.
had to manual 2 waves the entire climb because it was just like it was,
That's a good team.
yeah. So it was
That's
way
not.
more challenging. I think you guys nailed that.
I'm so glad, man, because that was one of the things. We a lot of it's just kind of gut because we don't have the time and the data quite yet to actually be able to say like, hey, this is the right concoction. So we did some like, all right, I'm just gonna test it myself. I'm gonna go through the stages and then I'm gonna start a new account. Let's do it through the stages and just get. And I think we landed at a pretty satisfying number. Like, balance, economy balance. Of course, there's a lot of science to it, but it's actually a lot of art. Like, it's like, what does this feel like? Because the
Yeah.
experience, I really wanted to, like you said, I wanted to ramp. I wanted it to be like phases. You come into the first, 90, and you're really focused on rares and maybe an epic or two. And then, and obviously, you still have your legendary. And that was kind of the one weird concession that we kind of had to make based on that choice that we had made before. And then after like 120, it's like, okay, now this is getting serious, guys. So it's like, but you don't have infinite legendaries. So it's like, well, what are the tools that I've been building? What are the guys that I've decided to invest in? And it makes those choices relevant. And that's what's satisfying. Like having everything isn't actually that satisfying. Like it's fun at the end of like a cycle, right?
Or the very
Or if
beginning.
if you know, yeah, or the very beginning. I
It
get,
gets
well,
it
yeah,
gets
the very,
dull.
very beginning. It gets dull, exactly. And so like it's very satisfying to have your choices matter. And I think that's I think the thing that we kept hearing time and time again that I would say I'm most proud of, right? The is that people felt like their choices mattered, right? And kind of what you just said, like because I didn't farm in this place during this time, that threw me off,
Yeah.
or some people would say, oh, I invested in this legendary that I didn't get enough copies of, or I didn't have enough books for, or I didn't, it's like, okay, you saw the resources that you had. It's like what was your choices really matter here. And I think that's, I don't know, that
Yeah.
was what was most satisfying for me.
There are some I'm not trying to pick on anyone in particular, but I saw the opinion up here in the community Discord here and there that there's no skill in Godforge and it just comes down to all luck. And I'm like, I could literally trace down to two distinct decisions that I made that cost me top 100. And you're telling me there's no skill involved? Like, what are you talking?
Yeah,
I didn't even
yeah,
farm heroes. I was solely
yeah,
focused on farming gear and working with the heroes that dropped organically. Like, I never went
yeah.
out of my way to farm heroes once. I happened to pick up a Hercules while I was farming books because he's in the pool for 130.
Nice.
And that was
Yep.
really that was it. That was like the only time I really farmed a legendary. I just worked with the epics,
Yep.
rares, and whatever dropped naturally along the way. Because to me that's where like I love just working with what you got. Like if I'm
Again,
just
it's very,
yeah
very satisfying. It's very satisfying, like that feeling of like, yeah, well, and kind of being like almost that underdog feeling too, which is also pretty satisfying. Like, because again, if you're going in, and there is some fun to just going in and just like your Hercules just goes whack, and the wave just dies, and whack, like okay, that is pretty satisfying too. But then you want to hit that wall.
yeah
Like you want to get to, like it's not fun if you just keep if it's butter, if you just keep cruising through, it'll never be fun. There has to be a time when you have to think to reinvest. Now you don't might not want that every single second, right? When we don't want a strategic, like a tactical strategy game where literally every single movement matters. But to be real, I think what the ultimate system has actually created something where there's a decent amount of like comeback, and you have to like, well, this isn't working right now. But if I pay attention, I pick my targets. I wait for my ultimates for when I need to nuke something or to survive something or whatever it is. It's added this extra level where you can have that depth.
yeah. Actually, I'm glad you brought up ultimates because there's something specific I wanted to bring up. I think something, I don't know if this was intentional or if this is just like a happy accident, but there's something really great about the ultimate system. It adds like this tension and relief, and then like this dope. Like if like I just need my ult, if I could just get my turn and get this ult, and you get like and then you make that comeback, and
Yes.
it's like this huge dopamine hit. It's so satisfying. There's been so many
Do you,
times where
do
I'm
you know
like,
where that comes from?
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Do you know where that comes from? So actually, obviously we looked at a bunch of different games that had different mechanics, and we were talking about like, okay, what is the thing that's going to make us different, and how can we? So like, part of the reason that we built that in was because we wanted a stat to compete with speed, and so initiative, and maybe renamed at some point, but initiative is what that stat is. And then we're like, well, how is that going to work? Like, what are we going to do? But actually, in my mind, the big inspiration for me was Final Fantasy VII. Like, it's that limit
The limit
right? That,
break.
it's the limit break basically. It's so satisfying because yeah, yes, yes. Like when you get that cloud limit break and you go off on them, it's so fun. And I love that you had the choice to kind of like you can now you can't do it in the same way. Like we actually did adjust it obviously from the it's your turn. You're on your turn. You can use your limit break and stuff like that, which I think is actually like I was nervous about that until we started testing it, and then I was like, no, 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 this is awesome because you can save it, right? People are like, well, what if you save all your alts? It's like, okay, well, you're actually inefficient. You're wasting your divinity that you're
Right.
gaining every turn you wait that you're not using it. Technically, you're inefficient. Now, that's not always. That doesn't mean you're wrong,
Yeah.
but it's
Inefficient
very
doesn't
strategically
necessarily
planned.
mean suboptimal, right? It depends on
Yes,
the challenge presented. And that adds another layer of
exactly,
skill
exactly.
to the game, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, PvP is going to be one of those ones where, again, it's going to be really fun to see what because like what's not fun about PvP typically is when something gets stale. Like new tech coming up is what's exciting. So as long as we have a good cycle of new tech coming through, it's gonna always be it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be relevant as long as we haven't accidentally put in like a set that is then or a character that's required. That's when it becomes that's when it becomes frustrating and boring. When it's like, well, if I don't have this character, let's say Zeus, for example, was left as is. For example, he's not going to leave. I think he'll retain he'll definitely retain the spirit of the way that he is. There's obviously we have to do some balance stuff with him because Zeus is literally just a cheat code right now. You can just go in and but let's say for example we left him as is and then it was PvP and he was just ruining PvP. Um, as long even if that happened for a little bit, as long as we then had like, okay, here's the counter and there's a nice pool of counters, or there's a new cycle, and so now there's a new character that a new sheriff in town, and it's fun. Like that's gonna be exciting. It's gonna keep things fresh. So I think the ultimate system, I think a lot of people we heard a lot of when people were skeptical about stuff is like that's going to be impossible to balance. That's what people kept telling me, right? And I'm like, well, how impossible do you think it's going to be about? Is it to balance 200 characters? How about 900 characters? You're right. It is impossible to balance, and that's why balance is not just it's not about an exact mathematical balance like a 50% win rate
Right.
across. It's not actually fun. 50% win rate across that's technically balanced. That's not fun, right?
Yeah.
So it's again, it kind of goes back to that. It's a little bit of math, well, a lot of bit of math, to be real, and then some feel and some art to it. So yeah, I think the ultimate system is just it gives you that satisfying moment. It gives you that build. It gives you those strategic choices. It gives you that depth. So you don't have to pay attention to it. You could just hit auto and it'll do it, right? But
Why
if you
would you
do pay
do
attention to it,
that?
you could, right? Um, but yeah, but then you can go back to it and you can really think about, okay, what's the choice I'm going to make here? How am I going to get just a little bit better or just a little bit further, whatever it is you're trying to do.
So you spoke briefly about initiative. I want to circle back to that while we're on the topic. So right now, according to some of the alpha testers, initiative feels like maybe it's a bit undertuned. Has the
Mm.
Godforge team found this to be true as well, or are you guys pretty happy with it as it currently stands?
So initiative as a stat is still being yeah we're still evaluating it because within the context of the secondary divinity gainers on your ultimates, it is not underpowered. But I hear what people are saying, which is the stat itself is underpowered, but you have to take those things into context together. And I think that's the complexity there, because I hear people are saying like, well, why would I invest in divinity if as compared to let's use speed as the benchmark, right? Versus one versus the other. I think you have to think about it this way. Imagine I have a team of 4 characters, okay? And I have 2 of them I have super fast, super high speed, and I have 2 of them super high initiative. That's a really interesting combination because as long as these 2 are going, or even just 1, right, are going, I can use my abilities, right? And so that actually makes it like powerful in a different way that's tough to evaluate. So I would say, long story short, I do think initiative is a little bit undertuned, only a little bit, and that's as long as we keep the divinity gainers in the same spot that they are. But I think there's going to be some tweaking there as well. So I'd say long. I mean, you know, a lot of things, just to be honest, a lot of things are going to change based on the learnings that we got from alpha, and not like sweeping, like, completely different game changes, but numbers tweaking. Some of those things were like gut feelings. This character is a little bit overtuned. This character's undertuned. This one's not fun. Whatever. Um, but I do think initiative is going to get a little bit of a tweak, but it's not going to be a massive tweak. I think it's in a spot where the goal is for it to be comparable or competitive in some ways for many of the most powerful stats, right? Because obviously there's crits for your nukers. Then it's like, well, hold on, I just want to survive. So then there's the survivability stats, but initiative can act like a lot of these things all at once. And so we have to really look at it as like one of those stats, in the same way that you have to be careful about it, like giving too much speed or giving too much turn meter increase. You have to be just about as careful with initiative and initiative gain. So
Yeah,
treat it the same way.
that's a really good point, because using an ultimate is about, probably I'd say 75% as powerful as getting a turn. Like, getting a turn is obviously more powerful because you're getting your cooldowns off and all that stuff, but like, using an ultimate is basically taking a turn. So you don't want it to be
Yeah.
out of control. Like Maria
Yeah.
Marevna, I was playing with her,
Such a great
and I
character.
would use her ult, kill the, what's his name, Quetzalcoatl, then he would revive and buff the entire team, and then she would have her ult again. But
Again.
yeah, well, I couldn't use it until I took another hero's turn. But
Yeah,
like,
one more turn, but then yeah.
but yeah, like, you don't want, you don't want it to get too out of hand. So I do understand the caution there, and not ramping it up too high. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
another,
it's and again, I guess the other thing to remember is that we've seen, so a couple different layers of things we haven't seen. So we haven't seen the full roster by a long shot. We've seen a third of the roster. You guys have seen about a third of the roster, and there's a lot of things in the roster's passives and ability sets that are that that interact with the way that you're going to play the game in general, right? So so if I were to just say, like, let's completely balance the alpha, there might be like some big changes, right, to the way that we do initiative, because I do think that maybe it could be a little bit undertuned or whatever. But looking at the whole roster, plus, oh yeah, don't forget about masteries, don't forget about, like the again, all the rest of the imprints that you're going to have access to. Don't forget about the rest of the sets that you guys haven't seen. There's more sets. Um,
oh,
yeah, yeah. There's a bunch more weapons. Like, there's actually quite a bit that hasn't been shown, and that was on purpose, right? That, because it's like, you know, I hope that you guys feel like this was super exciting and fun to really dig into. But there's just a lot more.
we've only
There's a
scratched the
lot more.
surface.
Yeah, exactly.
uh, I wanted to talk for a moment about the what I'm referring to as the Highlander rule, and I'm sure if you've ever played Magic, you understand what that means.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought it was really interesting how there could be only one copy of every hero on your team at any one time. I thought this was a
Yeah.
really interesting choice. So, do you want to talk about your reasoning behind this? And is this something that we
Well,
can expect to see at launch?
I think so. I mean, so initially it was kind of like we weren't sure, and then we were in the very initial builds. You could stack a bunch of them, as many as you wanted to, because we were building the levels, and we had to do that, and we didn't have like the tech basically to separate it. I think there's a couple of reasons, right? So initially, in my mind, it was like, well, it feels weird for you to have two, whatever, Athenas or
Yeah.
Zeuses or whatever on your team. But then we're like, well, hold on, but you're facing up against, you could be facing up against a whole team in theory of Zeus's, right? Because we've shown that we're willing to do multiples of the same thing. Because in the Godforge, kind of like, I think, I mean, you spoke to Aaron, so you've got the whole like Scion, and you're forging the avatars of these gods and myth and legend, stuff like that. Um, but I actually like the idea of that singularity, because so we have a good other games allow you don't allow you to do this, or allow you rather to have duplicates, because they don't have as good dupe systems as we do. I think our dupe system, I love it. I think that it's gonna it's the imprint system is a blast. Obviously, that gives you a lot of flexibility. So even like the highest end, down to even just the rares, you want multiple copies of it. You want a bunch of imprints. We have a whole different system we haven't shown you guys on the way you're going to be able to acquire and adjust imprints. I won't say anything too much. I can't dig into that one too much. Uh, but but I think so. Other games do that, and because they're just kind of like whatever. We don't the lore isn't as big of a part of it. For us, it felt like it's it's it feels more special when you can only have one of them, you know, going into battle, and so you really want to invest in that one. And there is going to be some room where I think some people will have multiple characters that they build out, which is cool too, because it's like, hey, I've got
I
my
actually thought about that.
my
By having the boss killer Guan Yu and the wave killer Guan Yu, like two different builds.
Yeah, and I think that's there's something special about that, right? Because it's I feel very connected to that character, um, and people will argue that like like if you've got multiple Rhodoses, I've got kind of a similar thing, but having two of them or four of them, it what it does is it allows for a problem to amplify when there is a problem, right? So if there is a character, let's say, that was just by like far and away the best character in the game for some short amount of time, we would never let it fester for a long time. But let's say that was the case, and you could have multiples of them. It just, I don't know, like it makes it so it's really hard for people that are free to play, or that haven't played for a long time when they're getting into it, for them to come in and feel like they have any chance of doing anything, right? And so I don't know, for me, again, a lot of these decisions are like, we think about it from what makes sense for us as a business, but almost more so as a player, like how do I feel? And so I don't know. We just kind of made that decision, and then we were like, well, let's just test it. We'll see how people like it. If we get a bunch of complaints, or if we don't like it ourselves, we'll change it.
I
But
actually kind
so
of
far,
liked
so
it.
good.
Because
Yeah.
if we could stack duplicates, I could have just put 4 Scotties in and just crowd controlled the entire thing and not even had to like
Good call.
it completely trivialize the entire experience. So I
Yeah.
like that it forces players to think outside the box. Like, oh, you can't just use Lydia and 4 cold hearts to speedrun. Like it's you have to use your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
It
You have to build a squad. I mean, it's a hero collector. You have to collect the heroes and then build like the squads that work together. And so, again, sometimes there's going to be a time when you have two different builds, and those two different builds go into two different groups, and that's cool, right? That feels special. But most of the time, you're going to have it's good. Well, and the other thing is like, because we have so many outlets. This is another thing that kind of added to the reason to sticking with this. Because we have so many cool outlets for taking one of your heroes once you've gotten X number of them, and then using them for XYZ. We didn't want to like make people to just be like, well, the first 4 I'm going to keep as individuals, because it would be crazy not to have another copy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like it just allows players to feel like they're not constrained. We want to try to take away the constraints and give people options.
Then they still have options. They could either awaken or they could imprint, right? If
Yep.
they have that strategic choice to make. And I think
Yep.
that because you are entering the game with duplicate systems in place, I think it makes perfect sense to just implement a Highlander rule, Like it
Yep.
why not?
I love the Highlander rule. We're
Yeah.
gonna keep calling it that. That's great.
You talked about earlier how everything was kind of tied into the story. I think you may have actually accidentally leaked something earlier.
Oh.
He says talked about
Did I?
forging the avatars of the gods. I don't think we've heard that phrase used before.
Okay, that's fine. We can. Yeah, we'll get a quick leak in there. I feel like this is so. I won't ruin too much about it, but I think you can understand pretty quickly based on what I just said.
Right. I mean, the
Essentially,
game's
right?
called
So it's
Godforge, right? So
exactly because the idea isn't that you've got you're calling a god, and then that god is there. You don't have the Zeus
oh, it's just
in a
like a
sense.
projection almost. Like Yu-Gi-Oh, when you put
Well,
the card down in the
I'll leave our lore keepers. I'll leave our lore keepers is what we call them to kind of fully explain that. But essentially, like long story short, you're forging a god. You're taking, you know, we've shown you guys the ether stones, right? You're taking the ether and you're imbuing, you know, you're sending it into the Godforge, and then what's coming through is an avatar of a god or myth or
Okay,
legend, right? It's
that
not
is
they're not always gods.
super freaking cool, man. You heard
Yeah,
it here
yeah.
on
It's
Podforge first.
yeah, let's go, let's go. You know, Simon's not the only one that can leak. Okay, come on, guys.
Well, I'm having him on next week, so I'm sure I'll get something.
Yeah, you'll get something out of him. Be like, Sham linked something. He'll be like, "Ah, that's it."
But I do want to touch on this story topic too, because it seems like story is always something that takes a back seat in these Western hero collectors, but that doesn't seem to be the case for Godforge. Would you mind touching on why the team decided to go so hard in this direction?
Well, I guess again. So let's look at it from two perspectives. So first perspective, let's look at from a player perspective. Like I've always been, we've when I say we've always really enjoyed, you know, the story of these games. We've talked about the Final Fantasies. We've talked about, you know, even in World of Warcraft, I would rewatch, you know, the cinematics, and I loved like the lore and stuff like that. So I've always been into lore, and I think Western studios, or I won't say Western studios, but I think a lot of studios in general like to take the success of one copy of a game in a genre, and then they go, okay, well, this we know this works, kind of like Hollywood. We know this works. Let's just do a bunch of different versions of it. Okay, no changes. You're not allowed to change anything. They didn't have you know, big story things. No, we can't do that then. And I think that like the Eastern studios have kind of shown us that, hey, this can really work, and it can not only can it work, not only can will players really love it, but it's very successful, right? These games do very well. They hit critical mass. They get in front of tons of people. They're very excited about it. And so we were like, you know, I mean, for us, this IP, it lends itself so easily to it, right? We were like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we have all these heroes. They already have these rich storylines. So our job is to now build a universe for them to come together and do something cool in it, right? And so you know, and shout out to Aaron and Mike, really crafting this story and bringing these things together, because like, you know, we had, I would say we had good ideas about how this could work, and we had the very fuzziest, like, oh, it's kind of like this, and you know, just basically mechanics. So for the mechanics to work, and then they came in and they were like, here's how this works, and here's how these characters interact, and yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to kind of watch them work. So yeah, so going back to answering your question, it felt pretty natural for the IP. We had seen that it could be successful in this genre of game, and so it gave us kind of like the confidence to give it a shot. And then I think that like the other thing is, I think a lot of, you know, in the Western genre, or Western audience rather, that people don't give these games a shot, like that their lore is shot, because all the other games previously have kind of like fell into that cycle of like, well, we have to do something, so we're going to do like a crappy job of it, or not as good of a job as we could have, let's put it that way. um right, and then they just get kind of worse, right? So then the story's worse, then the players are like, see, it's terrible in that game, and then they don't want to check it out. So we were like, no, 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 but listen, if you craft it and you really do it right, like there's no, people love story, like who doesn't like story? But you don't want to shove it down their throat. You don't want to make it super long form. You want to do it in a way that it's not hindering your progress and slowing you down. This is a game about optimization. It's a game about doing cool things and moving quickly. So you don't want it to get in that way, but you want it to have like impact. Like, oh, that's cool. I want to know more, and you want to have that world available. So that was
Speaking
our
of
approach, I think.
impact, that moment when Brynhild's spear hits Ra in the chest, I was like,
Yes.
yes! I'm so excited for the story.
It's so oh my god. That, I mean, that's one of the things I would say in my life, that's one of the things I'm most proud of, is just is working on that cinematic. I mean, the shout out, you know, to Jerry, and to Narwhal, the studio that worked with us, you know, Safari. These guys actual just geniuses is the reality of it, right? Like, we'll get in there and I'll be like, I don't really like the way this, this thing looks. And they're like, what Sham's saying, and they'll like describe like they'll break down this, eloquently put perfect description of here's what needs to change because of these reasons. And it's very concise and it gets to the point and you're like, wow, I'm just gonna poke in when people, when they need opinions, but I'm gonna let these guys, communicate this because they really, our cinematic art director actually like literally has an Emmy. I mean, Jerry is again. Don't let his head blow up too much. Okay, Jerry, chill. But the guy's an actual genius. Like you just see some of the stuff he puts together and how he works and his vision for where these things have gone. I mean, you guys saw it, right? He and that was not on like a AAA budget by any
Right.
stretch of the imagination.
Balling on a budget,
This was on
baby.
our, yeah, exactly. So yeah, a pleasure doing
I
that.
mean, clearly I'm excited for the game. I like this. I've
I
never
know, I love that you got the merch, man.
I've never bought merch for a game before. So
No way.
yeah. I mean, my wife has got
I
me
mean,
gifts, like she bought me a World of Warcraft shirt, she's bought me Hearthstone, but I've never been like, I need to buy merchandise for this game before ever.
that. Thank you. That's so cool. That's so cool to hear. I mean,
And clearly I'm doing a podcast dedicated to the game. Like I'm
I know,
clearly
dude.
excited about it.
You're all in, and I mean, it's been again, it's been really inspiring to see how passionate people have been about this. I mean, yourself, we're on a Sunday here. We're doing a podcast. You're talking to somebody who's making a game, but it seems like you're just as knowledgeable about this in some ways as I am, maybe more in some other ways. And how cool is that? I mean, that's amazing. So
I think
thank you.
the team's passion is contagious. I think that's what it is. We can see your passion and it makes us feel more passion. It's like just like an endless feedback loop where we're just feeding into each other constantly.
Yes, fusion. Let's go.
You even got the Goku shirt on.
You guys go. I got you guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Well, real quick, I wanted to ask you something actually. So I don't actually know. Like, I know a little bit about your background, like what you do for work. But what got you into streaming, and what drove you to start streaming with us?
What got me into streaming originally was Hearthstone.
Okay, nice.
I was a big fan of Day 9, and I was watching one of his streams, and I would always daydream about becoming a content creator, but never take the plunge. And one day he just did a speech like, just do it. Like, that's the first step. Like, if you just take that first step and do it, you might not be great, you might not even be good, but eventually, if you just keep doing it, you'll get there. So I made a Hearthstone channel, and I had this series called What the Deck, where every week I would make a new deck based off of the most meme-worthy cards in Hearthstone, and just build these crazy like Dread Steeds, and just that was my favorite card. But Astral Communion was another card I played with a lot.
Okay, nice.
Just these really underappreciated, just bad cards. I would try to build decks around them and make them work. So that's what got me into it initially. And then after a few years, YouTube changed their guidelines on how many subscribers you needed before your channel got monetized. And they kind of moved the goalpost back when I was like right on the cusp. I got really discouraged, and some other stuff in my life happened, and I kind of quit. And I was, for 7 years just collecting dust.
Oh wow, big.
And then
that's a big gap. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then when I was playing Raid, I was constantly helping my clanmates, and like they just kept telling me, man, you should make a YouTube channel. You should make a YouTube channel. I was like, man, that's a lot of work. I don't know. And then finally I was like, all right, fine. So I started covering Raid, and if you've played, you understand the abusive relationship with Plarium and their players. I just got tired of it. And then while one day I had quit playing Raid, I was just surfing YouTube, and I saw Simon do the announcement video for Fateless. And I was like, Simon's making a game? Oh my god. Because like I just knew that someone who had felt the same frustrations as a player dealing with Plarium for all these years, there's no way they're gonna make the same mistakes. And so I was just all in at that point. And as you know, I was actually among the first community members to cover Godforge. That was before I even had a name. It wasn't even called Godforge when I started covering it. It was just the yet to be named Fateless project.
The Fateless game, yeah, yeah, Fateless game thing.
Yeah. So man, I'm
That's
just
amazing, man.
yeah. It's been a fun ride. It's been so cool watching your guys' journey over the last 2 years, and to finally get to play it. It's just like I did a 15-hour live stream on day 1 of alpha, like phase 1,
Wow.
wave 1, like, and I played manual the entire time. Just I couldn't get enough. I didn't want to stop streaming, but I had to go to bed because I had to work the next day. So
You're like, I have to sleep. I actually do have to sleep. Wow, that's amazing, man. That's, I mean, again, it's that's so cool to hear. Like I mean I don't know I don't know what type of things you did, like, you know, growing up and like what you were into, but you know, a lot of what making games is about, obviously, is it's art in a sense, right? And so people want other people to experience the art of their game, and what, and so, you know, I spent a long time making, you know, making small games, making board games, making Incarnate, and like you know, we got people playing the game, and we got a lot of excitement playing for Incarnate, but this is on another level. It's so cool just to see people enjoying what we've built, and again, this is just a taste. Like I'm even more excited because I know what's behind the curtain, like what the rest of what's waiting there for you guys.
I just want to say, I remember when Incarnate came out and I saw you advertising it on Simon's channel. The only reason I never started playing it is because at the time I was still perfectly content playing Raid. I was like, man, this game looks really cool, but I don't know if I have enough time to start another game right now. So
Yeah, two games, right?
yeah, I'm a very all or nothing person. Like I can't help but to give 100% of myself to whatever it is I'm doing. So I just literally
No,
can't play more than one game at a time. I don't have it in me.
I am offended personally. No.
Well, now I
No, but
regret it.
like,
I should have tried Incarnate, man. I would have known.
you would have dug Incarnate, man. I mean, like, so a lot of the thing, you know, obviously, a lot of the ideas that I have about what I think is fun and what's interesting made their way into what we've built into Godforge, like you know, so Incarnate was, you know, a mind, body, and soul, and you could mix the characters up, and so there was like a lot of where we got the imprint system was because I was like, guys, what if we just, I don't know, like, for example, you could take a piece of a character, you put it on another character, and so yeah, I mean, and I don't know how much you were into tactical strategy games. We did a lot of really cool stuff in Incarnate. It's one of those ones where it's kind of on the shelf, and it may make its way back to like another, you know, a reincarnation of this type of game. It won't be called Incarnate, I don't think, but it's yeah, again, but going back to that, it's like it's it's so satisfying, and so, I mean, it's literally what we do it for, is to have people playing, and so you guys being so passionate about it, and so into it, and I love that it kind of like sparked, it got you, you know, back into creating content, stuff like that. So that's amazing, man. It's yeah, it just makes me smile.
I'm glad. Yeah. I'm having. I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't enjoying it, right? Like this is just a hobby for me. I'm not a full-time content creator. I make like $10 a week off my videos. Like I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing it for the passion. I just
Not
love.
yet,
I love
not
doing
yet.
it.
Let's keep pushing, man.
Hey, maybe someday.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of the hope for us as well. Like for content creators, like I think that like what we've seen with, I think we have maybe over 100 or so content creators at this point that have just
Yeah.
kind of naturally started getting involved, and I really hope that we can be kind of like a essentially like an engine for them to turn their hobby, if they want to. Not everybody wants that, right? But if they want to turn their hobby into something that's serious, and they can pour their passion into it, and they can, you know, move off of whatever other things that maybe they don't want to move, they don't be doing anymore, into content creation. I mean, that would be the dream for me, is like, you know, the more people that we can help, and we can get going on that type of thing. It's so nice to just be doing your own thing. I don't know. That's just my,
Yeah.
I've never really worked for for someone else, if I'm honest. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, we've been going for about 50 minutes now. I generally try to keep these podcasts to about an hour long. So I wanted, if you don't mind, I'd like to jump into some community questions.
let's do it.
All right. We'll start with this one from some guy named Hell Hades. He says,
What a
Why are
jerk.
you always climbing stuff?
Well, I mean, the great climbers out there have always said, because it's there, and that is the truth of it in a sense. I think, you know, why do I climb? I guess I'll give you a real answer, as to why I climb. So I grew up doing martial arts and always was very physical, in my life in general. And then as I kind of as I got into my 20s, I found climbing, and I there's something special about climbing. It's very personal, and for me, it's actually more it's more of a moving meditation, than even like martial arts ever was for me, and so it's really kept me grounded. Like it's one of those things. It
It's funny, like
scratches all the
going
itches
up
for me.
keeps you grounded.
Keeps me grounded. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, but what it is, it's like, yeah, it keeps my mind focused in on one thing, and that's tough. That's tough for me a lot of times. Like I'm one of those people that I've got a million different ideas. I'm always thinking of different ways to do this, to do that, or help that person, or start this, whatever it is. There's always something that my mind is doing, right? Except when I'm climbing. And when I'm climbing, there's only one thing I'm thinking about, and that's solving the problem of, you know, the movement of my body. So whether that's when I'm bouldering, when you're bouldering, it's literally called problems, by the way. They're called boulder problems. So I love that, right? It scratches that itch. When you're doing sport climbing, it's a bunch of layered problems, and it's about that efficiency again. So it scratches that optimization, sequencing, pre-work. It has all the same, like, and people, honestly, if you like this genre of game, you would love climbing. It's just the truth of it. I'm
Yeah.
not like a I'm not sponsored by the climbing association or something like that.
Not sponsored by
But
Big Climb.
straight up, right? Right, big climbing is coming in. So
Okay.
thanks, Simon, for that that question.
All right. So I'm gonna shorten these a little bit. Get to the point. People like to write entire dissertations and then put the question at the end.
Right, right.
So this
What's your
this one
favorite color? Yeah.
this one comes from Rod Clark. He wants to know if money and collaboration was assured, which would be the most likely IP to collaborate with first among these? Thundercats, Cthulhu, or Zelda? Which would you choose?
If we could guarantee that we were gonna get the collaboration,
If you could have your pick of those
Thundercats,
two.
Cthulhu, or Zelda.
They're
Whew.
so different.
That is a. I mean, I would say probably Cthulhu, because people have basically called it out as like this would be super cool, and I think it fits the vibe. I think it would fit
It,
in. It's the
very
vibe.
natural fit.
Thundercats, both of the other ones would be cool. Well, don't get me wrong, right? These are. I hadn't heard Thundercats recently, but that's. I used to be that kid like with the Thundercats are going Thundercats.
Oh.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I'm with you there, but I think Cthulhu. If I was gonna take a bet, it'd be that one.
Okay, this one is more of a statement or a request than a question. In the YouTube post that I made, I showed a picture of you wearing the Fateless jersey. I just pulled it from the website.
Yeah.
CLS Moon Knight says that jersey should be in the shop. Yes, please. I think they want it for merch, and I would buy one. Hell, they look
Yeah,
sick.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a we did a very limited run. You can see there's a bunch of us in that image, right? And we're there with yeah, so that's a good friend of ours' house, and he's got this shirt. I mean, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do a jersey like that. Maybe that's something that we could do. We could do as like a drop, because I think we kind of thought of it as like, right, right. What do you guys think, Chloe? Work, Chloe, Dan. No promises here. This is more just me, you know, throwing it out there. But I think that there's a couple things that we want to have as um, like internal, and I think that was like a very special moment in time, in a sense, right? It was like at the almost the it wasn't the inception of Fateless, but it was at like really at that starting point. But something like that, I think, could be a cool drop. Yeah, you guys
Dude, the
down?
the purple and black just looks so sharp, man.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I love it.
Okay, so this one comes from M to the L. He's been a long time viewer of my channel. He's been watching my raid content, and he's kind of followed me on my journey into Godforge too. So he's actually in my
OG.
clan cluster as well, or Pantheon cluster.
Pantheons, let's go.
M to the L says, so will Robin Hood be an uncommon, rare, epic, or legendary hero?
what what do you think? So I'm gonna bounce this to you, Adam. What should he be?
I thought it would be funny if he's one of the starter heroes, and then you guys kind of gave him like the Gaelic treatment and made him really crappy compared to all the other ones.
That's Simon talk. Okay, that's Simon talk. Don't let him get in here. Simon, did you pay him for this? I know what happened. I know.
But I've already got his kit figured out. He can steal buffs and then transfer them, stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. You know,
to the poor.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right?
any ally who doesn't have a buff, just transfer it to them. You know.
Listen, I think we all know that Robin Hood deserves the legendary treatment. I think that's the truth of the matter. Okay, but I can't say one way or the other the way it'll be, because we have an internal conversation going, as you guys have seen many times at this point in our podcast. But yeah, so what rarity? So if it was purely up to me, right? I'm making the decision today. I think he actually would be a legendary, but it is not purely up to me. It's up to the people, and So we'll see where he ends up, or if he ends up.
Same tier as Zeus and Shamash. Got it. Okay.
I mean, have you seen? Listen, this is what's important. So it's gods, myths, and legends, and if you think about his legend, he's the whole thing. There's no gods in his.
It's
his
permeated
realm,
throughout the entire world. Everybody knows Robin Hood.
Yeah. Exactly. So
I think that was just mostly a joke. The second part of his question is also from your experience or observation, can you name one non-legendary hero that needs a buff and one that needs a nerf based exclusively on the Alpha Caverns experience?
One which rarity?
Non-legendary.
Any character?
Is there someone who you felt really needs some love?
Needs a buff. Let me see. I would say Pandora had some really cool things. I would say Osiris probably. It's not even like a. He needs a buff. He probably needs a buff.
Every time I pulled him, I was like,
"Oh, let
me look at his kit." I said, "Oh no, I have no use for this guy." And then I pulled him later. I was like, "I forgot what he does. Let me read his kit again." Oh yeah, no, I have no use for this guy. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's pretty.
Good. So and then a nerf, I would say. I won't do any of the ones where like it's kind of obvious. Like Scotty is just so powerful, and maybe too powerful. But maybe not.
Selfish. That's me being very selfish.
Tough. Well, I know, and this is the thing. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh no, not the nerf hammer!" Like, and by the way, none of this is like this is going to happen. I'm just thinking like in my head of who else. I mean, if I just look at non-bugs too, we're not talking about bugs because there's a bunch of like bugs that are being fixed. Yeah, I mean, I'll actually put Bach on that list of someone who actually needs a little bit of a nerf. He is.
I never played with him,
which might surprise people. It might surprise people.
I heard you talking about him in the podcast on Friday, and I kind of piqued my interest. I wish I had gotten more of a chance to test with him.
Well, read through his kit. So he has he has a massive chance to counterattack. I think it's 50% whenever, and again, forgetting about the bug, it was bugged, so it was like basically 100%. It was, but like 50% chance to counterattack when there's a debuff put on your team. He can transfer debuffs. He can keep his own buffs rolling infinitely as long as you can get his initiative going. Like he had a lot to his kit, and I think he kind of was like and he's HP based, so like easy to keep up.
Was he a brawler?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize he was a brawler. I was like, man, there needs to be more rare brawlers, and I didn't even look at like I tested with the Ikur one. I forget his name, the lava guy, the demon monster.
I'm like Asag.
Asag, yeah. And I thought he was good, but it felt like his passive divinity gains, like he wasn't getting divinity.
Enough.
Yeah. So like if he can get his ult more regularly, I think he'll be a sleeper powerhouse at launch. I'm kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Like Philosophically, I mean, I guess we've talked about this a couple times. We want lots of characters to feel overpowered, but not to be overpowered. You get what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
if that's what we achieve from a feeling sense, we nailed it. Because everyone should people should be like, oh my god, this character's so strong. They do so many cool things. And then the other guy, and then your friend is like, well, dude, have you tried this guy? And you're like, what? Oh, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't know you could do that. Like that should be the feel. Now that doesn't mean you should be wiping the floor with content. That's not fun. But you should feel like, wow, I've got so many cool things I can do with these characters that I've got.
I think as long as the difficulty of the game is such that you can feel overpowered without actually being overpowered, that's when you kind of strike that
Yes.
fine balance. Like feeling
Yes.
powerful, but not steamrolling everything. Like this character feels like it does so much, but you're still challenged by the content.
But I'm just barely winning, or I hit a wall and I can't win, and I need
Time to go
grind.
farm.
That's what it should feel
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we have time for
Good question.
one more, and I would be
Good.
remiss if I didn't get to this one because not only are they a channel member, they're also one of the leaders of my cluster, the CHB clan cluster or Pantheon cluster for Godforge.
There it is.
He asked. By the way, we're recruiting. I'll have a link to that our Discord in the description if you want to join the CHB cluster.
Get in there. It sounds like it's a good crew.
Hell yeah. What he's asking is, when can we get a breakdown of all the game modes that will be in the game? Is that something we can expect to see by the technical launch, I guess is what you guys are calling it now?
I think by technical launch, let's see. I think that's relatively realistic. I mean, let me see. So by then, I think we will have announced all the modes that we can expect in the game, and we will at least well, and definitely for what's in the launch. So yeah, I would say about by tech test, which is what you're referring to, which is like towards the end of the year. By tech test, we should have announced, here are the features that you can expect in the game. Here are the most, and we've announced most of them, by the way, but we haven't announced all of them. So we've got some good stuff. We got some good stuff brewing up for you guys, and we've got some stuff brewing up right now that we haven't talked about at all. But I definitely can't spoil that.
I'd like to dig a little bit on the previous topic. So at one point you guys mentioned you will either have the normalized PvP at launch or the normalized PvE at launch. Have you guys settled in on which one you're going with, or are you gonna keep me in suspense?
Likely, so we basically has made that decision, but I don't want to say it for sure because we're still waiting on a little bit more. So yeah,
that's fair.
I'm not
that's
quite
fair.
ready to answer that question.
I already got my leak for.
Yeah, you got your leak.
I'll ask Simon next week.
Yeah. You might get it, man. You might get it. If Simon says it, it's all good.
There's actually. Go ahead.
No. We just. I think. I think we want to make sure, we're very open and transparent, and that's actually really crucial for us. It's really important because that builds trust, right? And we that's number one for me as a player. When I'm investing in a company, if I'm going to buy their product or talk about it or recommend it to someone else, I have to trust them, and that actually, it's really important for us. So, but to that point, if we're too transparent and we have to like walk stuff back, that doesn't feel good either.
Yeah.
So I always want to make sure, like, okay, if we're 100%, I'm willing to talk about it. If we're 95%, 98, 95, close enough, but not, 75%, no.
I totally understand. I get that completely. There were a few more topics I wanted to get to, but I guess I'll just have to save those questions for Simon, because I feel like this was a great chat we had here today. I think we covered a lot, and I think the folks watching in the premiere chat will have plenty to talk about. So yeah,
hopefully you guys had a good time. Thanks for watching. I mean, yeah, and I'd be happy to come back at some other point, but yeah, you should just grill Simon and tell him I didn't tell you anything. Like, just grill him. It's fine.
All right,
he knows what's up.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll see you all in another video soon, but until next time, everyone, take care.